I think the key values are that it's a study of people. Really, so much of what we study, regardless of whatever core we're in, we are studying how people have impacted the earth, history, our societies, and so on. And humanities really tries to dig right at that.
From the very beginning, the inception, 1997, I think it was, it's a small learning community that really takes that learning community seriously.
It's all about what the students' experiences have been, what the experiences of others have been, how do we see the experiences of others mirrored in our own lives, and what do we do with that knowledge? How do we use it to make the world a better place, a more welcoming place, starting in the classroom, starting in the community that is the humanities core. So I think the key values are respecting others. As is often said by my colleague, Mr. Murdock, it's like just be kind and be a good human being to other people and we'll make the world a better place.
Humanities, I think, doesn't just have a focus on like academics, also has a focus on just social and environmental health in terms of like the social environment that it provides.
We do often talk about political things and what's going on in other countries, and we have discussions about that, open discussions, and everybody gets a chance to speak. So I often like to speak about what's going on, and everybody listens to you, which is nice. Everybody wants to be heard.
And just the idea of humanities is that idea. It's like this big tent or this big sandbox.
Everybody in the core in one of the two big rooms really fosters this sense of community and identity with a lot of different people.
And I like talking about what's going on and having my voice about it.
So that's one of the unique things I think about humanities is there's a true team teaching, and therefore I think a group component and esprit de corps where the kids really get the core experience, literally in the same classroom working on projects with teachers live in the room with them. Humanities has this feeling of like we're in it together, we're working on projects, we're dealing with big issues. A person who comes to humanities would be, hey, I'm going in for whatever reasons, the social reasons and educational reasons, but once they get here, the skills they'd be, I think, attaining are interpersonal, intrapersonal, like learning about yourself. One of the first huge projects we do is something called a Who Am I paper, which students write about themselves, their background, but it's not a strict biography. It's more about discovering who they are. They share that. There's an interactive component, which is one of my favorites, where students get up and they leave comments for everybody.
One of the first things we did this year was the Who Am I paper, and it's one of the most emotional things I've ever done. You present it in front of the class so everybody gets to know you. And hearing my classmates talk about who they are and how they've come to be this person was just so amazing.
Some of them were sometimes harsh, some of them were very intimate, but it does sort of help you open up to people, and it does provide a safe space. After when I gave their speech, we would all come up to this poster and write whatever our thoughts were. So it kind of did get a lot of people thinking and sort of started a multitude of conversations between individuals.
It just feels like for the first time in high school, because you often feel blurred out and nobody is really paying attention to you, but in that core, everybody is all on you and they hear about what you're saying and they respond to what you're saying. So in that way, it has made me feel like I've been accepted and heard.
One of our projects, for example, is a community service project, an obvious, okay, we're going to connect with human beings. And one of the other projects we do, big projects, is kind of this idea of looking in the community and doing a mini documentary on an important social issue, kind of looking at local issues like how is the fire affecting teachers, or how's the COVID response, and how is COVID affecting the Latinx community? How does this juvenile justice system affect its participants, and those kinds of things.
The flag making project basically was just meant to, through employment of artistic technique, we all pretty much gave our perspective on what we see American values as, or how we see certain aspects of everyday American life.
I think one of the things that we're really shifting toward over this coming year and next year as well is the shift to earning this seal of civic engagement. And that's a real understanding of not just the community that you live in here in Windsor High School, but the larger community of Windsor and Sonoma County and California and the United States as a whole, but then also deep involvement in community issues. And so that's one of the things we're driving towards over really next year, is that a lot of students will be able to get that sort of participation, whether it's volunteering in a political campaign, it's volunteering volunteering as a student representative on the school board, it's working with the town council on a project, or a number of other civic organizations. Students will get that sort of identity, that sense of, wow, I fit in the bigger world, and not only that, but here are the places I can go to get the different needs met.
One of my favorite field trips, for example, is we go to the cemetery. In Santa Rosa, we look at the rural cemetery and we look at kind of gravestones, and we kind of try to imagine what would their lives be like. Without doing actual research, we do sort of historical empathy research. Let's make up a obituary for that person, or let's discover sort of little bits about what that person might have done when they lived in that time.
You're still learning so much, and it's like the world doesn't revolve around you, and it's not all about the grades. And I think if people want to be heard to and listened to, that's the core for you.
A little bit of dress up, a little bit of play acting, a little bit of critical thinking, a little bit of art, a little bit of group project processing and discussion and seminar. We prepare kids for college, but we're also dealing with vocations like teaching, social work, anybody involved in who wants to make the world a better place.
A lot of times we are stressing a lot about like what we do later on, and not so much on like what is it that we want to achieve personally wise, because a lot of times we focus on a career based on its financial prospects, not so much as whether it's something we'd actually want to do the rest of our lives, something that will fulfill us.
And the one thing I get when kids come back and report is that, wow, I went into this academic world, you really prepare me for what I needed to do there, examining a critical text. Hey, I went straight into whatever, starting my own little kind of startup business, or hey, I went to work in this company, and I really want to say all the soft skills, those kind of ideas. I think the humanities student comes out of it with that full picture. Your job now is to go create, you like this place, it meant something to you, these people mean something to you. You've got to let that go, and your job now, go create your own humanities somewhere. Maybe you will be a teacher, maybe you won't. Maybe it'll be in your office, maybe it'll be in your family. Go create your own humanities. That's really your job.